it was the following year, I suppose, 77-8, when Mike Brearley's side, Brearley had taken over because Tony Greig had defected to Packer as England captain. And we had 2 test matches, and then we arrived at Hyderabad, I think it was, no, Faisalabad and Lahore. And then we arrived in Karachi for the last test. And a pointless one-day game in the Gymkhana Club, 3 or 4 days before, Mike Brearley, the captain, broke an arm. Which meant that Geoffrey Boycott, the official vice-captain, became captain of England for the only time in his life. It couldn't have happened to a nicer chap. And obviously it was important to get this news back to England, and communications in those days were nothing compared to what they are now. And I mean, if you were, Don Mosey was doing it for the BBC, and he had to go back to his hotel and put through a transfer charge call, which could take anything up to 12 hours to get there. And I mean, you just sat and you waited and hoped. Well, and the press, when they did their pieces, they typed their copy out and they shouted copy, and a boy would come and they'd give it to him, and he'd run it he'd run probably to the cable office in the town. And who knows, he'd either blow his nose on it on the way or stop and have lunch or something. And you never knew it was going to get through. But we were staying at a hotel called the Midway House out by the airport. I know why we went to the middle of Calcutta, but we weren't. And when the alderman, Don Mosey, got back, he put a call through, a transfer charge call to the BBC, which didn't come and didn't come and didn't come. And he was in his room, and it was about midnight when eventually the call came, and the woman at the reception desk went to his room and knocked on the door and said, "Telephone," and Don, running down the corridor, picked up the telephone and shouted in a loud voice, "Don Mosey!" And the voice at the other end said, "I'm afraid he's in Pakistan. Put the telephone down."